everyone. The Placement Cell is here with its another episode of Founders and Honors series as part of its Entrepreneurship Club, where we interview the founders of some great startups. This series is dedicated to embracing and owning the entrepreneurial skills of our students. Today with us, we have Aniket sir, co-founder of Haqdarshak, the first Indian social enterprise to digitalize welfare programs on a single platform. The company has been able to assist around 20,000 low-income people access benefits that they otherwise would not have been able to. We are honored to have you here with us today, sir. So with your due permission, shall we start with the interview?
Yeah, please.
Okay. So the first set of questions is about the organization. The first question is, what inspired you to start the company? How did you come up with the name of your organization? And what is the significance attached to the name Haqdarshak?
I originally belong to Shimla, born and brought up here, schooling here, and then graduated from SRCC 2007-2010 batch. And I honestly never had an inclination to follow the regular path of like how all SRCCs kind of have, which is the chartered accountant, MBA, corporate life. I think very early on, I was very clear I wanted to work in the development social sector, which way back about 12, 13 years back wasn't really mature or the kind of work that we have today. Both the startup ecosystem and the social development sector especially. So I joined Teach for India as a fellow and taught for 2 years. This was one of the first years of Teach for India, second batch, 2010. And from there worked in rural parts of the country, urban parts of the country with a lot of communities, low income families. And around 2014, first I set up a non-profit. And then I set up Haqdarshak in 2015 with a couple of my other friends. Who, along with them, Mayank Garg and PR Ganapati. Mayank is also an alum of SRCC 2008 batch, and PR Ganapati is a very senior person, IIM Ahmedabad 93 batch. So along with them, I founded Haqdarshak in 2015 as a private limited startup, focusing primarily on getting people access to government services, financial services. The meaning of Haqdarshak essentially is Haq in Urdu is your rights. Darshak is essentially our interpretation of the word is that somebody who shows you the path. So someone as an individual or as an organization who shows you the path towards your entitlements or rights is the meaning. And yeah, that's how the journey started.
That's surely a great name for your organization. Moving ahead to the next question, sir, is there any specific reason behind you choosing this particular sector for your organization?
So like I said, right from the beginning, I was only interested in this sector. So I started off in 2008-9 itself while in college working in these areas, did my Teach for India fellowship, worked in rural Maharashtra. So I was very clear I wanted to work in the development sector. And I think fortunately for a lot of us during that time, around 2014-15, there was a lot of impetus on startups and Startup India. So around 2015 was able to pitch my entire idea in IIM Ahmedabad, won a few competitions there, and that's how we started off. So while it's a for-profit limited company, it's a social enterprise with impact as a big focus. So that's kind of the main difference between mainstream tech company or commercial business compared to what we are doing at Haqdarshak, which is a mix of technology, startup, and social impact.
Surely there's no other better way giving back to society than working in a social enterprise forum, right? Coming to the third question, what were the challenges that you faced in the course of establishing your organization, and how did you overcome them? What is the driving force behind you and your organization?
So our vision and mission is very clear. We want to ensure citizens in the country get access to information, rights, services at the last mile, simple services like getting your identity documents done. A country as big as India, 1.4 billion people, there are almost 50% people who do not know what their basic rights, entitlements, documentation is. We've seen through COVID, people not getting access to ration, getting access to, basic health insurance, life insurance, which we are struggling with today itself, right? I mean, we are a country which has 15 crore construction and migrant workers, 60% of our population in rural India. So that's what drives us as a team, right? I think such a huge problem, and not only in India, even in a lot of low income developing countries across the world, where information last mile service is a big issue. So that vision is so strong and so big that me and my team are like, that's what really keeps on going.
Thank you for your answer, sir. Moving ahead to the next question. How do you take out time for yourself amidst the hectic work schedules? How important do you think it is to have hobbies and interests?
So I think it's really, really important. I think again, I think it's now coming out more openly, where a lot of founders, investors, ecosystem people are talking about mental health. So I think a lot of reasons for taking out time for yourself is that there's a phase in everyone's life, and it's really difficult to understand when you're in college or when you are in your, I mean, when you are still very young and trying to do things, because you can work 18 hours, 16 hours, go out for drinks, still come back, and have a repeat day in, day out. I think it takes a toll, just a work life. So there needs to be work life balance at the right time. So I think as early as possible in your careers, if you can have hobbies or just take time off, I think um, focusing on your health, physical and mental, extremely.
Right. Hobbies surely give you the required break that you need from, okay, you're in break. Moving ahead to the next question, what piece of advice would you give to college students who wish to build an organization from scratch?
Uh, so yeah, I think I would really say that start early. If you and have a very clear problem and solution theory of change, like it's easy to think that you want to start up, and all people should be thinking entrepreneurial, whether you're in a job or you want to start up something. But it's very important to define a problem, identify a problem, then think of a solution, rather than, it's very easy sometimes otherwise to just jump on the trend that, if something fintech is going on, let's just start another payment app, let's just start another e-commerce app. I think rather than that, just really figure out what you're really passionate about, solve a problem. If you are able to figure that out during your college, fantastic. If you're not, it's absolutely fine. I took 4 years to identify the problem, and with the mindset. So it's important, very clear where you want to work, and which kind of organizations you want to associate yourself with. That's really, really important, because then that really shapes up your kind of career going forward, or how are you going to okay. So what you are going to choose, a lot of times, I think, from being part of SRCC, I know there's a lot of pressure of placements. There's a lot of pressure in the final year now, even in second years and first years of internships. Don't go after the brand, don't go after the company, go after really, really the kind of role you are getting. That is really important. So in your placements, doesn't matter if you're getting a role from the best company in the world, but if you're going to do data job or a desk job, which is not really going to help you learn anything, then if you have entrepreneurial ambitions, then that's not really going to help. So it's better to kind of work in organizations and roles which really help you, and take your time. I think post college 4 5 years is something which is very reasonable to really figure out. I think those years really help you give kind of that kind of reflection and time to then kickstart things.
Thank you for your answer, sir. Now we'll move ahead to the rapid fire round. The first question for the same is, what would you say are the top three skills needed to be a successful organizational leader?
So I think in terms of top skills, you need to identify the right kind of team. I think for a leader, finding the right kind of team, investing in the team, and delegating and giving them complete freedom is the most important. So not being as a leader. In fact, it's the most important to be a team player. Identify that even if you're a founder or CEO, it's still a role. You can't be a superhuman and do everything. That's where I think people fail the most. So that's, I think, the number one skill. And then I think integrity is really important, because I think that really goes a long way in establishing your brand, your organization's brand. And I think third would be empathy. Especially, I think to the kind of work we do, it's really important that we have empathy. And I think overall, also, we are seeing a lot of corporate leaders, corporate institutions. Even if you look at large brands like Tata, right? Like, I think they really clearly show one of the reasons they are such a big brand. They have success. People want to work with them is because they've shown empathy in everything that they've done in the last 150 years.
Thank you for your answer, sir. Next question is, if you were to write a book about you and your organization, what would you name it? And if you had to come up with 3 words to describe the culture you want to create, what would they be?
The culture part, I think I've already answered. It has to be empathy, integrity, respect as the 3 things that we really, really have in a culture at Haqdarshak. I don't think I'll be writing a book. I'm very bad at writing any kind of book. So, but maybe I think it would be something around the kind of experiences we've had in the journey of Haqdarshak. And I think we're still at a very early stage. So I'm not really sure if we are at a stage where we'll be thinking about a book yet. But maybe someone writes if we are successful in our goals.
What's the name of the book?
I mean, right now I can only think of, so our tagline is every citizen matters. So maybe something like that.
Okay, sir. Next question, mention some industries which you feel would be booming in the future and the youth should focus on them.
So I think as a sector, everyone who's aspiring to be an entrepreneur really should think of the next 500 million people in India who do not have the right kind of digital tools, who don't have the right kind of access, and really focus there. There, I think there are 2 huge markets which are going to boom. So last 10, 15 years, we have seen a huge boom in e-commerce, fintech. We've also seen a huge boom in skilling. I think one is micro insurance and insurance, which is already booming. But I think we still in this decade are going to see a lot of focus on health insurance and health related innovations. Is that is going to become post COVID one of the key sectors. And I think the second is going to be gig economy, because the kind of country we are and the kind of skill set and education levels majority of our people have, everyone isn't privileged or is fortunate enough to be in colleges like SRCC. Majority of our folks are in tier 2, tier 3 rural areas, where I think better gig economy opportunities, how people can link them to jobs, better services there, better startups in that space are going to be like, two opportunities I think are going to be really big in the next few years.
Okay, thank you for your answer, sir. Next question, what are the must-read books for a college student?
So I'll say, in terms of books, the kind of books I would recommend again will come from the sector I work with. But I think one book that really influenced me very early on was that of P. Saina, who's an editor of Hindu, works on agri-related issues. It's called Everybody Loves a Good Drought. I think anyone who's trying to understand what true rural India suffers from, a lot of agitation right now has happened on farm laws. I think I would recommend that book to get a pulse of what you say is the real India. Second, people who are enthusiasts of tech and startups, I think book by Peter Thiel, 0 to 1, is something that is a good one. And I'm overall a big fan of Yuval Harari. So Sapiens is a good book if you're looking at slightly overall in terms of anthropology and a bunch of other, how our history looks like. And finally, I think just read a lot about companies. So I would say, companies like Amazon, Tata, Google, in learning about how their cultures are built. Again, with the perspective, I'm assuming the audience is more looking at being entrepreneurs. So I think a lot of just simple things like their annual reports, right? It's boring stuff, but if you want to be an entrepreneur, those are things that you should really start reading.
Books can surely help one increase their knowledge. So I'm sure these book recommendations will help each and every one a lot. Coming to the last 2 final closing questions. First question is, if you had the chance to start your career over again, is there anything that you would do differently?
I'd start earlier. I think I would take risks earlier. I would be okay to, like I said, 8-10 years back, the scenario, the ecosystem was very different. Today, it's very, very supportive, much more supportive. I'm sure people who started before me had the same thing to say. So it's improving every year. now you are encouraged to fail, which is great. So I think I would start early, a couple of years earlier. I think I would have done that for sure.
Okay, so one question, final question. Where do you see your company in the next 5 years? Or what do you wish your company to achieve in the upcoming years so that you're the driving force of what you're working in?
I think I would want so there's the company goal of becoming one of the best companies to work at. I would really encourage um, young people coming out of colleges like SRCC to look at and apply at organizations like us, our Haqdarshak, at the social space, and attracting a lot of young, bright talent, which will in turn lead to, our goal is to impact 10 crore people in the next 5 years. I think, and personally, I think I would really want to see that each and every one who's part of the Haqdarshak family as a team is really, really empowered with the vision, mission, is driving it. So it's a really institutional approach that we can build. So not just like a company, but literally Haqdarshak to be an institution in this space. So that's like the personal ambition.
That's truly great. Thank you so much, sir, for all the insights that you have shared about being an entrepreneur. I'm sure all the budding founders will learn a lot from this, and all that you have discussed here will stay with them in all walks of life. We thank you for taking out time for us, and we surely believe that Haqdarshak's goal of building a pan India team that will have three key functions of grounding up schemes research, product development, and network training will be achieved soon. Thank you so much, sir, once again.
Thank you. Thank you. Great talking to you. Take care.